Hi everyone, my name is Bhavishya, and in this lecture you'll see the implementation of OSPF. So this is our topology. Let's begin. So I've already configured all the necessary configurations. So let's begin. So the command that we saw for our rep was router rep. This was the command. And then we used to reach to this prompt, right, where it tells us that we are modifying router, right? But this command was not telling us what protocol that we are using. To see a classic example of it, let me exit it and give the command for OSPF. So the command for OSPF is router OSPF along with the process ID. As you can see, it gives me the same prompt of router configuration node, right? But doesn't tell me about which protocol are they using. Now, let's give us the network. So we are configuring this in our router 1. So the network 12.0.0.0 along with something 0.0.0.255 along with area, that is our 0, right? The backbone area 0.0.0.0. Now let's understand what happened here. So this, if I look at it, so this is my IP address, let's suppose. And in this IP address, this initial 3 bits are for my network, and this one last one is for my host part, right? Now, this special type of thing that you see, it is known as inverse mask. This inverse mask is used to give, you know, port portion the, okay, let me not fumble and give you the direct answer. So in our network mask, in our inverse mask, what we do is we make all our host bits to all ones. That helps us identify and differentiate between network and host. We'll see in classic example how it gives us the leverage, but for now this is our inverse mask, right? Where the host bits we make it all ones, right? After that there is area, which is our area 0. This is how we write 0, 0.0.0.0, right? Yes. Now at this point we have only configured our R1, not R2. So let us see the database for it. So the command, so this is the command show IP OSPF database. So this is the command for show IP OSPF database to show the database. So the very first thing that we encounter with, okay, is it tells us the router ID on the router. So in router 1, this is the router ID, router identifier, right? Which we configured here on fastUnit 0/0. Now it tells us the process ID, that is 1, which we gave right here. After that, it tells us that it generated router link state, this LSA, a router LSA, which is type 1 LSA. And after that, followed by area 0, right? Now there are different types of LSA. Let me give you a quick preview of what are the different types. So there are different types of LSA that a router generate while we perform OSPF. The very first and a common one that every router generates is our type 1, that is router LSA. Okay. The second one is type 2, that is network LSA. The third type is summary LSA. The type 4 is ASBR summary LSA. The fifth one is external LSA, and the seventh one is not so stubby area external LSA. Right, but for now, which is important is this router LSA that every router generates. Right, now let's head into different concept. Now let's see the running configuration. Show running configuration. Okay, let me expand it. Okay. Now as you can see here, it tells us what the command that we use to enable OSPF along with the process ID, then network, along with the network and the inverse mask, and then followed by area. Now the interesting thing here to note is it also tells us on which fast Ethernet OSPF is enabled along with its IP address and subnet mask. Right. Now the reason it tells us okay. So the reason is when we gave this inverse mask, it enabled that. Okay, this is the host part, right? So it gave all the hosts OSPF. It enabled every host with OSPF. So this is how we received OSPF on this port, right? Now the second concept, the other one. So let's see show IP OSPF interface brief. Now as you can see, it tells us on which fast Ethernet. So this was the extension of this. So it tells us what was the fast Ethernet, the process ID of it, the area which is it's operating, it is operating, the IP address along with the subnet mask, and it tells us the cost. Basically the metric that we used to have in RIP was hop count. Here it is cost. It tells us the state. We'll see in the further lectures what it is. And then it tells about the neighbors that is connected to. Here we have only configured R1, not R2 with OSPF. So this is the reason it is giving us 0 neighbors. Let's configure R2 as well. Now before configuring R2, let's see what exactly is there in its database. So to look at it, we'll say show IP OSPF database. As you can see, it's empty. Now let us give the command for OSPF. Now here I have only given this command, not subnet mask, not network. Now let's see what is there in its database. Right, wait. Show IP OSPF database. Now as you can see, as I've only given this command of enabling OSPF with the router with the process ID, this is what it gives me. The router identifier, which is of this interface, and then the process ID. Right, only this. Now let me go and configure the whole network. Here I've given this. Right. After this, let's go to R1 and check its neighbors, right? So for that we'll use the command show IP-OSPF interface brief. Initially it gives us 0 neighbors when we have not configured R2, but now after I've configured R2, it gave me this one neighbor connected. Right. Now let me go and see the database for our R1. So for that I'll say show IP OSPF database. Now as you can see, it gives me the information. Now it gives me the information of R2. This is the link ID. This is what it is advertising, age, and so on. And it is generating a different LSA2. We'll see in the further lectures, but now, for now, let's stick with this. So we have other command also to learn, that is show IP OSPF neighbor. Now, as you can see in this, it is telling me what is the information of the neighbor. So I'm checking for R1 and let's see the information of R2. So this is what is telling me. Okay. This is the neighbor ID, right? Along with the process ID, it tells the state, dead time, and then this is the address of our R2, along with on which fast Ethernet it is configured with OSPF. Similarly, if it look at R2, this is what it will give me with different entries. Show IP OSPF neighbor. See, 12.0.0.1 with process ID, IP address, and then interface. So this was it for this lecture. I hope you enjoyed. See you in the next one.